Rabbi Menachem Aaron HaKohen Ruddle was born in June 1948 in Montreal, Canada. His father, Rabbi Yosef Ruddle, escaped to the United States via Shanghai, and from there traveled to Montreal at the behest of the Frierdiker, or the previous Rebbe. Shortly afterwards, he met his wife Fega, a Polish emigre. They settled in Montreal and raised 4 children. They operated a Judaica store and were instrumental in every aspect of Jewish life in their community. After completing yeshiva in Israel and New York, Menachem married his wife Sterna, and they moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Rabbi Ruddle joined Yeshiva Achet Tamimim and continued to teach there for 30 years. In 2002, the Ruddles moved to Los Angeles, California, where they quickly became an integral part of the community. Rabbi Ruddle touched hundreds of lives through his classroom teaching, interactive nature lectures, and camp. He is sorely missed by his children, in-laws, and grandchildren.
We miss you, Zadie. We love you, Zadie.
I really miss you. I miss your camp. I miss your jokes, and I will wait for you when Mashiach comes.
I loved when my Zadie told us jokes and stories when he came to us before we went to bed.
He would tell me, you know I know how to play guitar. He would take my foot and go, sing, ooh, Farata Yamava Keba, ooh, Farata Sferavanagba. It's the only song he ever played on somebody's foot. He also would put me on top of his car and I would jump off into his hand. He also would take us down the stairs and go, brrr, brrr, to give me a horsey back.
Every week, we would speak to each other on the phone, every Friday. And he would always make me feel like he was waiting the entire week for me. I didn't forget Mashki! As if I was the only one he had time to speak to, as if I was the only one that made a difference to him.
Tell his jokes. Whenever he made new ones, he would share them with me, and they'd either elicit a laugh or sometimes a groan. And thanks to him, my mind was trained to pick up when there are plays on words and puns.
I like the way he would be able to crack a joke into everything he said.
When we were in a bad mood, when Rabbi Ruddle came, he would lift our spirits.
Every time Rabbi Ruddle came into the classroom and he would bring cool stuff, like once he brought a heart and he started pumping it, everyone got grossed out.
I remember him just always with warmth and jokes and bringing these random things to school.
This little guy, both Rabbi Rattle and the Scorpion actually tried to board a plane a couple of years ago. Never of them made it. They didn't like it. So both the Scorpion and Rabbi Rattle ended up missing the flight. One really funny memory I have is one day Rabbi Rattle giving me a call and saying, bring your kids. I have something in my backyard. I can turn hay into milk. I said, really? He said, yeah, come over. So I bring the kids, and sure enough, we find a goat in the backyard. Amazing. So he tells my kids, feed the goat some hay. So the kids go and feed the goat some hay. And wait 5 minutes. We wait 5 minutes. And then soon enough, he asked my kids to milk the goat. And here he comes, the milk. So we got like a bucket full of milk. We go into the kitchen and we turn the milk into cheese, like boiling it, and we had goat cheese right there.
He said to me, where can he get shark jaws? I thought, huh? What does a rabbi want with shark jaws? I said, you're joking with me? He says, no, he wants to take shark jaws back to America to show his kids in school shark jaws.
6th grade, we kept a chart of all of his jokes, good and bad, so even the bad jokes were a lot of fun. Becoming religious was not easy for me and for my family, but thank God I had Rabbi Ruddle as a teacher. When I was learning the prayers and everything, it took me quite a long time to do that. And I'd have to learn through breakfast. I would read the words very slowly, and it took me a long time. So when I walked into class a little late, Rabbi Ruddle said, I'm going to give you a prize in front of everybody. And it was a great moment, actually, and just showed me that every Jew can follow his own path, not get in trouble for it, and actually be rewarded. So it was a life lesson for me.
He completely changed everything about who I was as a student and as a person, and that is what made Rabbi Ruddle the greatest teacher and rabbi and mentor that I ever had.
He had such a positive attitude it wasn't like an unrealistic one, but like sincerely positive. And he shared in that attitude and belief in each of us. And it made us want to be better. And we wanted to live up to his positive view of us and his view of life. And his love and care for us, it was so clear to each of us, each of his students. We knew that he cared about us, and he only wanted the best.
It's not just that Rabbi Ruddle loved his students. Rabbi Ruddle understood us. He understood what it means to be a kid.
He was one of the most inspirational, motivational teachers I've ever had.
Rabbi Ruddle was an early innovator in methodologies to help Talmidim gain more, understand more, participate more in their limudim.
We got to see Rabbi Ruddle interact with the non-Jewish staff, and in particular, it was those that helped out in the kitchen. And there was never a breakfast or a lunch that went by without Rabbi Ruddle making sure that the staff serving the food and preparing the food knew that he was grateful for the work they put in, him being able to have his, if I remember correctly, the rice with the tuna fish, with the vegetables on the side and so on. And then there was Essie, who was the older custodian, who I could not have been a young man at the time. And I have clear memories of, probably daily, of Rabbi Ruddle stopping by Essie to see how he's doing, offer him a hand, thank him for the work that he was doing. And
Rabbi Ruddle played with us, and that endeared him to us. It was in 6th grade, I believe, maybe 7th, when Rabbi Zeiss and Rabbi Ruddle would come out every day, and they would pick teams. And since Rabbi Zeiss picked first, so I was picked on his team. And Rabbi Ruddle took me the entire year. I scored 1 touchdown the entire year because he was not just playing with us, but he showed us how to compete and have good sportsmanship and do it right. He really tried. So I wasn't able to score that often that year.
In our yeshiva playground, which was very small, we were playing football, and Rabbi Ruddle was always the quarterback. He was a very good quarterback, but it happened to be this time he threw me a touchdown pass, and I was right about to catch it. And I ran right into the dumpsters and broke 2 ribs. And it was not fun, but Rabbi Ruddle stood beside me for quite some time until my mother came to pick me up and take me to the hospital.
One thing that Rabbi Ruddle really taught me was how to approach our students and how to work with them really al pi darkei, on their level. This was a personal experience I had with him when there was one week when he was going to be taking the boys on one of his amazing trips. We were going to go go-karting one night after school. Had all the elements, being out after bedtime, being on an exciting trip. But in order to be on this trip, which was only for 5 or 6 boys, you had to score well on the Yiddish test, and you had to be one of the top 6 boys in the class. Now, behavior-wise, I was great, but academically, I never did very well, especially when it came to tests. And I remember that this test, I worked extra hard to pass and to do well, and I studied many, many times in many different ways. But when it came time to find out my grade, unfortunately, I was not one of the top 6, and so I was a little bit downtrodden because of it. But when Rabbi Ruddle announced the list of boys that would be going on the trip, sure enough, for some reason, my name was there. And when I asked him about it, and of course all the other kids in the class wanted to know how he could break the rules for me, but when I asked him about it, he said that it was because of the fact that I tried, and that I really applied myself, and that was more important than the number on the test, and that he knew I knew it, and he even tested me orally. And he saw that I knew it, and just for whatever reason, the written test I didn't do so well.
So I asked Rabbi Ruddle, how do you make learning so real? How do you come up with these novel ideas? And he said that when he learns something, he pictures it, he visualizes it, makes it real to himself. And to me, that's such a powerful lesson.
Every Friday night by the Shabbos table, Rabbi Ruddle would ask the Fear Kashas, the 4 questions. And these questions were based on the Parsha each week. I'll never forget one week, I actually came up with the answer that was from the Sikha, and Rabbi Ruddle made me feel like $1,000,000 till today, I remember the parsha, I remember the question and answer, and it was these Friday nights at the Ruddle home that Rabbi Ruddle crowned me as the Radad, Rebbetzin Devorah Dubav, of which I was and am very proud of till today.
I always come back to Shabbos when he would always walk to the old age home. It was 2 miles away. It didn't matter if it was snowing, if it was wet, if it was cold, if it was hot. He'd always go. And he'd choose 2 or 3 students that got the privilege to walk with him. And we'd be so excited when he chose us. You know, it was our chance to connect and to talk with Rabbi Ruddle. And he'd go out of his way, pick us all up. You know, he'd ask us how we're doing, how's school. He'd ask us questions about the parsha. But it was this connection that he had with us that I truly take away from my time with him and his.
We used to love the Malava Malkas that they would arrange at Kesser Torah, and then Rabbi Ruddle would take us to the JCC in Oakland and play soccer with us. Each Motzei Shabbos, we would really look forward to that.
I also recall there was a public school strike in the 70s, and a couple of years after that, Rabbi Ruddle was visiting the jail for maybe it was Purim or whenever it was, and unfortunately it was one of the former Talmidim who was in prison screamed out, "Hey Rebbe!" as Rabbi Ruddle was lovingly known as.
He was really kind of like a Zaidi to our family. He mentored me a lot in Yiddishkeit.
And although a lot of our teachers, all of our teachers and parents had so much love for us, they didn't necessarily understand that the way to show that love and the way to help us and guide us was through joking, laughing, making sure that we feel safe, teaching us about nature, teaching us that it's okay to laugh, and that we don't have to fit in perfectly. To me, that's what Rabbi Ruddle represents.
I remember even sitting at the Seder table, sitting next to him. We would discuss this and any questions I had. It was just amazing. We bonded like real true father and son. He had so much love. He cared so much for the next year. And his compassion was Torah study. Always when you see him, when you're looking for him, he was busy studying.
Learned about electricity. He saw a Tesla coil being used in operation. And he wanted to have a Tesla coil that he can use for the kids. So he asked my kids to build one for him. And they built it. And they let him use it. And he was so fascinated. He was excited to go take it to different places and show it to the kids.
So Rabbi Ruddle is one of the few people that I've met in my life that is really a true chassid. Somebody who really walks the walk and talks the talk.
There were often times that I remember Rabbi Ruddle coming home later than was expected, and it was always with the same reasoning. Someone needed help, someone needed a ride, how could I say no? That was just who he was. He couldn't look at somebody without being there and helping them. I learned from Rabbi Ruddle the meaning of making family important. How many times did I wake up in the middle of the night and see him sitting at the table learning with one of his older children? How many times did I see him step in because Mr. Ruddle was involved in so many of the community projects, and someone needed to be there for everyone else, and how he was always there supporting her in all the things she did and being there for everyone at home. How many times did I see the honor and respect that he gave for his mother when she would come and visit? How many times did I see that glow in his eyes as you saw the nachas that he got repeating and seeing the accomplishments of all of his children. Family was so important, and he was really, you saw that in everything that he did, how that they came first.
He always treated me with such warmth, love, and care. When he would come home from yeshiva, he would teach me how to play hockey. He would joke around with me, and we'd sit and talk together. He would always give me the time of day. He always made me feel like $1 million. And as we grew older, we became closer. Menachem and I would speak often. He would share the Divrei Torah that he composed, and of course, his unique jokes. What makes my brother so outstanding is that he treated every single person the way he treated me, his little sister.
The way he interacted with people, which means everybody, and we're talking about from his son-in-law, children of course, grandchildren, but also strangers. He would make that effort to have an interaction and a communication with them that was not just superficial, but that there was some interaction, words of Torah, thoughts, ideas, a joke, a story, something that was communicated. And there was this communication and thereby this connection that he created in his interactions with people.
He was real, he was deep, and he was emes, and he lived every single moment being emes, through every smile, through every gesture of kindness that he did, especially with his chinuch and love to his children and students.
He was always present. He wasn't, when he was with us 100%. He wasn't concentrating on anything else. He was there and listening to us, and he was a great listener. You hear many other people talk about how he gave to others. One of his best attributes as a parent was that he just listened. He knew when to when we would vent, when we had issues at school, when we had issues with our siblings, whatever it was. He knew how to just lend a listening ear, and he wouldn't give advice so much unless we were asking for it. And he let us know that he was always there for us. And you just heard the delight in his fun, in his voice. It just took up his entire his being, and it really made you feel special. And you knew that he loved you. Although we had 11 children in the family, nevertheless each one of us felt that we were treated as an only child. We were the most loved. I really believe that I was.
He gave us such pride in being his children that we felt so lucky to be his child, and Baruch Hashem, I am proud to say I am the most favorite.
When I was single, I went through an intellectual phase where I thought I should challenge everything. One time I was on the phone with my father and I started telling him how I wasn't into the whole Judaism thing, and quite honestly, I wasn't even sure I believed in God. You want to know how my father responded? He got very excited and he said, "Amazing! I love this! Search and look for answers. Don't just accept everything you're taught." He told me I had inspired him. My father was real. He had faith in me that I would come to the right conclusion. And he taught us the value of truly believing. My father was smart. He was out of the box. He was simple and sincere and humble and kind. He had a curiosity about the world. He knew all those useless trivia facts. He knew all the names of the janitors and of the bakery staff. He lived to make another Jew smile, and I can never remember him just relaxing. He always had a sefer. He was never too important for anyone or anything. You could find him rolling on the floor playing with his grandchildren. And he never complained. I miss you, Ta. I miss your smile. I miss your love. I miss your hearty laugh and that twinkle in your eye. This world doesn't make sense without you. I know how proud you were of all of us, no matter how little we did. So come back down here, and I promise we'll keep making you proud.
I think Mashiach should come now. The Meil alle Yidden sein zusammen, the Rebbe soll uns bringen zusammen to Eretz Yisrael. Let's everyone be together. L'chaim, l'chaim.